Summary of Hope Leslie by Catharine Sedgwick. A young man by the name of William Fletcher, who lives in England in the 17th century, falls in love with his cousin Alice Fletcher. Sir William Fletcher, his rich uncle, won't let them get married or leave his fortune to his nephew unless William gives up his Puritan beliefs. William says no, so he and Alice have to be apart. William instead marries a young woman called Martha and goes to New England, which is part of the new American colony. Alice married Charles Leslie, and they have 2 children named Alice and Mary. A few years later, William moves his family to the western edge of Massachusetts, to Springfield. There, he starts a farm that he calls Bethel. One day, his friend John Winthrop, the governor of the colony, tells him that William's old love, Alice, was recently widowed and moved to the colonies, but she died soon after, leaving her girls in his care. Governor Winthrop has also sent Magawisca and Oneco, 2 American Indian children, to work for the Fletchers. This is to help them with the unexpected growth of their family. The children's father, Mononado, is a feared Pequot chief. They also just lost their mother. Magawisca has already arrived at Bethel. Mr. Fletcher goes to Boston to get Oneco and the Leslie sisters. Hope and Faith are the new names that Mr. Fletcher gave the girls. Mr. Fletcher is stuck in Boston for a few months, so Hope has to stay there with him. Everell, the oldest Fletcher, makes friends with Magawisca at Bethel. Everell tells her how to read and they talk about their best stories. Magawisca also tells Everell about the Pequot War, in which a lot of her tribe and family were killed. Her view of American Indian violence is different from Everell's because some Indian raids were caused by violence from newcomers. The next day, while Mr. Fletcher's return from Boston is eagerly awaited by his family, Mononado and a small group of soldiers attack Bethel. Magawisca tries to help, but almost all of the Fletchers, except for Everell, are killed in a cruel way. Everell and Faith Leslie are taken as prisoners into the forest, and Magawisca goes with them. After a few hours, Mr. Fletcher and Hope Leslie go home, where they find the horrible bodies. Mononado takes Magawisca and Everell to a remote Mohawk village, where he tries to offer Everell as revenge for the death of his own son, Samoset, during the Pequot War. But Magawisca steps in at the last second to help Everell and ends up getting her arm cut off. Everell runs back to Bethel to hide. 5 years later, Hope Leslie writes to Everell, who is now a good friend and is in England learning. Hope is Mr. Fletcher's adopted daughter at Bethel, and he loves her very much. She is known for speaking her mind, like when she tells the Springfield judges that Nelima, an American Indian woman in the area, shouldn't be charged with witchcraft. She even helps Nelima break out of jail. After this episode, Mr. Fletcher sends Hope to live with the Winthrops in Boston so she can learn to be more respectful. The next spring, Everell goes back to Massachusetts to see Hope and her best friend Esther. Esther is a much more religious and quiet girl who has feelings for Everell after meeting him in England. The Fletchers and Winthrops also meet another English guest, Sir Philip Gardiner, a strangely well-dressed Puritan who, with no other options, quickly decides to go after Hope. Governor Winthrop and Mr. Fletcher talk about the plans of the young people. They decide that Everell should marry Esther, and that Hope, who is still too careless, needs to get married quickly to someone in charge, like Sir Philip. But Hope works behind the scenes to get Everell and Esther together, despite the fact that she has feelings for Everell that she keeps hidden. One night, Hope meets Magawisca, who has sneaked into Boston pretending to be a moccasin saleswoman, in a secret place. Magawisca tells Nelima that Faith, Hope's sister, has married Oneco and can't fit back into English society. However, Magawisca will keep a promise she made to Nelima a long time ago to bring the sisters together. Sir Philip, on the other hand, turns out to be a down-on-his-luck, shady explorer who is a hidden Roman Catholic, hates the Puritans, and is obsessed with Hope Leslie. He is going with a young girl named Rosa who doesn't have any friends and pretends to be a boy named Roslyn. But for now, these facts are still kept secret. Hope plans a trip to Governor Winthrop's island home so that she can meet Magawisca and her sister alone. The rest of the family comes, though, and over the course of the day, Hope realizes she has love feelings for Everell and accidentally gets him involved with Esther in a way he doesn't want. In her sadness, she turns down Sir Philip in a cold way. That night, she finally gets to see Faith again. However, as Magawisca had warned, Faith has become a part of Oneko's Pequot family and doesn't remember much about her childhood. Before Hope can convince Faith to stay with her in Boston, Sir Philip tells a group of the governor's men where to find Magawisca and Faith. In response, Oneko takes Hope. After Oneko takes her away in his canoe, Hope is trapped on an island with some drunk sailors. She manages to get away by telling a religious Italian sailor, Antonio, that she is a vision of his patron saint and needs a ride back to town. Sir Philip had Magawisca arrested so that he could win over both Hope by letting Faith come to Boston, and the governor, because Magawisca, as her father Mononato's assistant, is involved in politics between tribes and colonies. While Hope is healing from a serious disease brought on by her adventure at sea, Sir Philip goes to the jail and tries to help Magawisca escape if she will take Rosa into the wilderness with her. He is turned down. Later, when Magawisca is on trial for plotting against the colony, she exposes Sir Philip's lying and double-dealing, which turns the crowd in her favor. But the hearing has been put on hold, and she is still sitting in jail. Everell and Hope are making plans to free her, but the pesky Fletcher's servant, Janet, hears them and makes plans with Sir Philip. Hope talks her teacher, Master Craddock, into helping her break Magawisca out of jail. She does this by having Magawisca and Craddock switch clothes, which fools Barnaby Tuttle, the jailer. In the meantime, Sir Philip makes plans for Chaddock, a pirate, to take Hope. But at the same time, Oneko sneaks into the Winthrop's house dressed as a sailor, finds Faith, and forces a curious Janet to go with them so she doesn't call the police. Chaddock's men think that Janet is Hope, so they kidnap her and bring her to their ship while it is still docked. Rosa, feeling hopeless, lights a dynamite keg there, killing herself, Sir Philip, Janet, and Chaddock's whole crew. Faith and Oneko are happy to get away. Magawisca is also able to leave Boston with the help of Hope and Everell. Despite their goodbyes, Magawisca doesn't want to stay in touch, saying that it's impossible for white people and American Indians to be true friends in this life because of their long history of theft and violence. Hope finds out the next morning that Esther went back to England on her own because she didn't want to get in the way of her happiness with Everell. Hope and Everell can now marry, and they have a happy life together.
About the author. Catharine Maria Sedgwick was born in Massachusetts in 1789 in the town of Stockbridge. She was the sixth of 10 children born to Theodore and Pamela Dwight Sedgwick. Theodore Sedgwick was a senator for the state of Massachusetts as well as the Speaker of the House of Representatives in the United States. As a lawyer, he also worked to end slavery in his home state. Catharine was very proud of this. Elizabeth Freeman was a former slave whom Theodore set free. After that, the family hired her and she helped raise Catharine and had a big impact on her. Catharine was close to all of her brothers, but Harry and Theodore were especially supportive of her writing. They helped her get it published and spread the word about it. Sedgwick was a well-known writer in early America when she was still a young woman. After she stopped being a Calvinist and became a Unitarian, she wrote a pamphlet about religious tolerance and started putting out short stories, some of which were for young people. Hope Leslie was the most famous of her books, with fans all over the world and for a long time. Many of her books were about loyalty, getting along with people from different countries and religions, and women breaking out of the roles society expects them to play. Catharine got many marriage offers during her life, but she never got married. Instead, she split her time between New York City and the Massachusetts Berkshires.
Hope we summarized it fully and you liked it. Please hit the like button and subscribe to our channel so that we are motivated to create more videos.